Good morning from the sail in to Skagway. If you have to get up early any morning, this is one of the times to do it. The scenery around Skagway is breathtaking, and today, a highlight of our trip. Mom has always wanted to do the White Pass Railway, up through the mountains and all the scenic areas up there, and today we're doing it. We're doing it through this ship. We didn't want to waste coming all this way and not get a ticket on it, so we paid a little more than we should and booked it in advance through the cruise line, and we're glad we did. We're sure to see it, but definitely get up early for the scenery as you sail into Skagway. It's a highlight. This is equal to anywhere you'll see in the world. Pictures do not do this landscape justice, and I can sit and show you them all day. But first, we're going to show you what's going on around the ship. There's a whole lot going on for those who may not want to get off. So this is the activities on today's cruise compass. Again, you'll see everything from the iFly and the North Star, all the typical stuff, but you'll also see the tours and what time that they depart. There's everything you can think of to do in Skagway. Today, like I say, we're doing the train ride, and it's a little bit later. So today we have a lot of time in port, and then what we're going to do is come back and pick up Mom and bring her to the train station, which is right next to the ship. And since we had time to kill, we inquired about how much it would cost individually to go on the White Pass line, not through the cruise ship. If you book it on your own, it's $59 one way. We didn't inquire about how much it is round trip, but I assume it would be about $120 round trip if you took the train both ways. A little bit cheaper than through the cruise line. But like I say, we booked it early. We booked this train ride several months in advance. That way we're sure to get on it. So we're okay paying a little bit extra today. Now that you know what's going on around the ship, let's go back up and check out some more of that scenery. I can't get enough of it. Just coming in, and it looks like the train is right next to the port. We're still easing up right now. It's the snowcapped mountains. Looking around all the helicopter tours, look like they're getting ready. And way back is the harbor. And they are just about ready to tie up. It is like it's a little after 7 o'clock. One of the things I always recommend somebody do is take a picture in the app of the emergency contact information of the port. That way, in case something happens, you know the number to call. Let the ship know what your holdup is. Maybe they can wait for you, but they may be able to tell you where to go to next. And this is the captain as he sits over the wing, pulling into the port, looking out the hole at the bottom of the ship, a big glass window. And when the ship opens the gangway to let everybody off, it's a mass of people exiting the ship all at once, going on their helicopter rides, the train, bus tours, everything you can think of at one time. But since we didn't have any plans till later on, we're going to take it a little bit easier and get off the ship a little slower. Let everybody else get off and do their thing, and then we'll get off a little bit later and do our thing. We have plenty of time here today. And if you can't walk as good as you had hoped to, let the ship know that you have a little bit trouble walking, and they can arrange differently the way your tour operates. The way we did it was we took a bus, one of these little small vans that you see right in front of you, up to meet the train in Fraser. So we didn't have to walk all the way down this walkway to the train at first to take the train. What we did was walk right down to the end of the pier and get on one of these small buses. So it was a whole lot better doing that than going down and taking the train. We have several hours to kill before we have to be back to catch Mom. So we did our little tourist thing and walked around town. You could see how far it is from the cruise ship right at the end. And the thing that caught my attention was a Doughboy. Yeah, it looked like kind of a cross between a beignet and a fritter or something like that. So we had to try one of those.
From Skagway.
Yummy.
And as luck would have it, we saw one of our new subscribers we had met on the ship. And he was checking a crow, seeing how brave the crows are. They're pretty brave. And they would eat a little piece of Doughboy right out your hand. And thanks for watching, young man. You're a good example of who this video is made for. And whenever I say they have every different type of jewelry you can think of. Yep, here, you can even get a crown. So, yeah, here's a crown.
Yep.
Pick up with the cake. Skagway's downtown area is packed with all kinds of souvenir stands. So everything you can think of. Here, this building looks like the front's made out of driftwood. And we find a snowplow, maybe the original snowplow for the train tracks. And the original train car. And as we're heading back to the ship, we spot our train going through the middle of town, just like it would in the old days. Yes, this is what the explorers used in the old days, the Klondike days. We also spot this couple people. They look lost, and after some quick directions, they're on their way too. And we're back on our way to the ship. And this is our happy little group, ready to take a train ride. Yep, Mom is excited. The first leg of our trip was a small bus ride. We had about a dozen people in a little small bus/van. And the trail that we took, the road, kind of paralleled the old railroad, so we could see it from across the mountain as a train went through the mountains. Here you could see a lake that's at the top, and the water supply for Skagway coming down the other side. And the lake is way up in the mountains. It's a long ways up there. But we had several pullouts where that we could pull over and enjoy the scenery and take a little break and get out the bus if you wanted to. If you didn't want to, you could just stay in the bus. But it was entertaining getting out because we had a musician.
I won't walk away.
And the higher up we went, the colder the air got. Here, we're up above the tree line. There's nothing here but little shrubs and rocks. And the temperature, it's in the high 30s to low 40s. But nothing really is growing up here except some small shrubs. And you have to take a picture up here. This is the Great Divide, where that the Klondike people climbed the mountains in the old days. The elevation here is 2,888 feet. So we've gone from sea level, right next to the cruise ship where the trains start at, to right up at the pass, 2,888 feet. And by road, we made this trip in an hour to an hour and a half. But back in the gold rush days, they had to do this trip by mule, and they had to bring a year's worth of supplies with them for the trip to be admitted across Fraser, which was the Canadian border. And at this border crossing, everybody had to have their passports ready to show the customs agent. Here, the train stops, lets the people that are on get out and walk around for a little bit, and then we load up. So we had about 30 minutes, which I gave you a train car tour. And this is the train car for the White Pass line. Inside each train car,
Nice little heater.
it's like an oil heater. Little intercom. Then, of course, there's this. With the interesting flush feature. See if you can see how to do. After you go, this is how you flush it. That's the flush feature. Got the blue dye down in there. And we have about a dozen people on our bus. So we have a whole train car just for us. So, yeah, every person has their own seat.
So hot. He's gonna live in Mississippi. But I told him he's welcome to come stay at our house on the weekends if he wants to. I missed that. So you don't have to get a hotel.
No, sir. No, sir.
And this is the Canadian border. See the Canadian flag flying on the building? The other side is the lake.
When the train's going, you can sit out here.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay out there because everybody will be wanting to do that. That's what she said. I want to get in the back, so.
And with a slight pull, we start making our way back down the mountain. Like I said, we came up a lot in elevation, and now it's downhill the whole way. So the train will pretty much be riding the brake the whole way down. Train car has a guide to point out points of interest and scenic things that you'll be approaching along the way. Of course, the scenic things you'll be approaching is out both sides of the windows. There's not a spot along the way where that you don't see something, but you'll spot out, like we see here, some old telephone poles that are from the 1800s, telegraph line, and old shacks that were built in the early 1800s for the gold rush people as they approached up. Place for them to get out the weather. And of course, you're going to hear the train tracks the whole time. They're repetitious the whole way down. 1.5 hours. Here you can see how the tracks are carved right into the mountain, just a few inches away, and in some spots I could easily have touched the wall of the mountain if I wanted to, but I played it safe and didn't touch anything. But you're right on the edge of the mountain wall, and the other side is a drop off straight down. You'll see a little better of that in a second. Along the way you'll go through several tunnels, some of which have little small waterfalls right in the middle of the tunnel, like you're about to see here. Watch out, you're about to get wet. And the section of track that we're on is a newer section of track. But don't worry, there's many cases where you could see the original path and the original track right off to the side. Here, this is pretty much in disrepair. It'll never be used for anything, but it's neat to see how that the original tracks were laid out. Notice how that the end of the steel sections are wooden sections of trestles. Here, it's all fallen down, but some is still up. This may account to why that there's not many trees up this high. That's a lot of timber that went into building those trestles. Here, you can see the drop off of the tracks, and if you look down far enough, you could see where it looks like old train cars that had fallen down the tracks. Of course, that was probably in the 1800s there too. Here it's a little more stable, but you could imagine the way that the accidents happened back in the early days. And the route is scenic the whole way. Here you can see across the valley where that the road is that we went up earlier. Now we have to go through another tunnel, but whenever that we come out on the other side, you'll see why I say that it's worth the money. Notice as we exit the tunnel, the tracks we're on are wooden, with a drop off going down. Further down you could see some of the original tracks that had fallen off into the valley. Mom had looked forward to this trip for a long time, and she got to spend it with all of her kids. This will always be a highlight of the trip for me. Sitting, looking at this beauty, all with my family, just feet away. Periodically, at lower elevations, the tracks in the area is a little bit wider so that trains could pass each other. Here, you can see another train passing us, and right behind it, all the passengers going up for their scenic views. Excellent to watch, and all these people experiencing it. And here you can see the ocean and see our ship all the way at the end of the valley. One last stop to admire the scenery as we're slowly coming down in elevation. And here you can see the water going through and the mountains in the background. Time for one last photo before hopping on the bus and taking a couple-mile journey back to the ship. But look at this, a tsunami sign. Don't want to be here for that. And once we get back to the ship, it's dinner time. And tonight, it's Caribbean. So we have to try some of the Caribbean food, some of the favorite that I like. Always like the jerk chicken and the jerk pork chop. Both my favorites. And for all of you who may be looking at this wondering how we don't gain weight every time that we go on a cruise, well, it's vacation calories. They don't count. So in total, with all the walking and everything, we're probably losing weight. And as we sail off into the sunset, I can't help but think of how perfect of a day that we had today. Everything was awesome. And of course, thank all of you for watching and subscribing. And we'll see you again tomorrow as we go into Juneau. As always, thanks for watching.